Hey, it's Wayne again. How are you? I hope you've been enjoying some good Americana music here this morning with Savannah Rising, but it is time now for Savannah Lexicon. This is WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. All right. Well, I hope everyone is starting their morning off well here on this Tuesday that's going to be rainy, I think. So just head out. If you're just heading out, head out with an umbrella. I would strongly recommend. And, okay. So, WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. All right, so I am happy to have you listening in with us this morning. We appreciate it so much, listening to Savannah Lexicon. My guest this morning, I am very pleased to have with me Mayor Pro Tem and Alderwoman at large, Carol Bell, and we're going to be speaking with her today about a number of things, but one thing that we for sure are wanting to talk about is the Summer 500 internship program that is getting ready to kick off in June. So that is one thing. Good morning, Alderwoman Bell. How about that?
That's fine. Good morning, Wayne. How are you?
I'm good. I'm
Great.
good. I so appreciate you coming in today. Thank you so much. Very glad to have you. I had Alderman Durrance on not long ago, about a week ago or something like that. So that was good too. And talking with him, and love to have you guys being willing to take time out of your busy schedules and come in for Savannah Lexicon and for WRUU, so really do appreciate it. There is this Summer 500 internship program that you guys are going, and that's starting, the very 1st of June, I guess?
June 1st.
Okay.
Orientation is on June 1st from 8 until 1 at the Savannah Arts Academy.
Okay. And that is, do you know the address right off the top of your hand?
I don't. It's on Washington.
It's on Washington.
Washington
Okay.
Avenue. Very familiar, iconic school in the public school district. So I'm sure it's very familiar with most of our listeners.
Yeah. All right. So just tell us a little bit. Obviously, it's an internship program, but tell us a little bit about, kind of how this started. It hasn't been going very long, right?
Absolutely. This is year 2.
Right.
We kicked off the Summer 500 program on last summer in June, and it was an amazing success. Did we have some hiccups or some issues? Well, of course, it was a new program. But the stats show that it really served its purpose. And for the community, I suspect the key note is that as a result of youth services and youth programmings in the city on last year, the police chief reported at the end of the summer that crime statistics among that population, specifically in youth incarcerations and criminal property kinds of that category, that the stats had gone down 25 and 21% respectively.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's pretty good.
That is very good to hear.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Excellent. All right. And so I guess the program this year is going to essentially be the same. I mean, you may have tweaked it a little bit, but
we have tweaked it and we have some refinements. But let's talk a little bit about how this came to be.
Yeah.
So when Andy DeLoach campaigned for mayor back in 2015,
right,
part of his one of the key components of his platform was that I will put 500 kids to work. His thinking was that if we gave our young people constructive things to do during the summer, then the likelihood that we would keep them on the straight and narrow
yeah, sure,
was heightened. Now, why an internship program? Because the young people, 11th and 12th graders, are completing school and transitioning into adulthood.
Yeah.
We know that a large percentage of our high school graduates in this community do not, and I will say that again, do not go to college and successfully complete college.
Yeah.
Consequently, any number of them remain in the community, and guess what? They're looking for a job. Now, we as an adult community, we as policymakers in the community can think smart if we like and decide, okay, well, how will we ease that transition, or how will we make sure that these young people become contributors to our society versus a detriment to society.
Yeah.
So the easiest thing to do, if they are going to get out of school where they have a regular routine, if they are going to transition into adulthood and into a state where they need to provide for themselves and or their families, let's improve or let's help them in that transition by making sure that they are equipped with the necessary skills to get to be the very best contributors that they can.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Sounds good. So we heard from the business community, the chamber, the Savannah Economic Development Authority, that the biggest problem in the workforce in this community is not just the lack of tangible skill sets that can transform to a wonderful employee,
Right.
but also our young people and adults lack soft skills. Those skills that somewhat come for any number of us from growing up in a very supportive environment and learning how to follow instructions, learning how to get to work on time, learning how to be a contributor again instead of a detriment. So those skills that somewhat just come from growing up in a good environment with support, whether it be from your parents, your guardians, the church, the home, the school, the social clubs, the counselors, the coaches, any person who may have an influence on your life and just teach you how to be a woman or a man.
Yeah.
So any number of our employees lack those skills. So it makes it a bit, it really is a shame. But it makes it so difficult in the work environment because from the private sector, the goal is bottom line. So they're wanting to make as much money as they can. And we know that they do that through people. So we tried to make this internship different. We tried to apply it to the needs of Savannah. Consequently, we tried to make sure that we incorporated a curriculum for teaching. Yes, I did say teaching soft skills during the 8-week work program.
Excellent.
So so we did partner with Savannah Tech.
Okay.
And the students, the young people, worked 4 days per week and went to school on the 5th day. Went to Savannah Tech on Fridays, and they were taught just what I described earlier, those soft skills.
Well, that's good because that's certainly a big factor, and it's a shame that, because so many of us take for granted that we have usually, hopefully, a parent and a family unit that helps us in those regards, and also just a community of people who help us with that. And some people don't necessarily, unfortunately, have that growing up as you're describing, and they need to be taught that too, along with other skills and things.
Absolutely. So this program is somewhat unique. And in that, we've incorporated a teaching component as well as on-the-job learning, and that makes us different. I also need to thank the Savannah community. The private sector stepped up to the plate big time.
Good.
This program is undoubtedly the largest public-private partnership this community has ever experienced. And as a result of that, it makes us special.
Yeah.
This is the Summer 500 is a best practice across the country. Any number of cities across the country have expressed heightened extreme interest in this program, have attempted to emulate it.
Wow.
And we're called upon to describe just what we've done and how we've motivated our private sector to be so involved. I say it's a Savannah thing. In Savannah, in spite of all the criticisms, people do care.
Yeah.
People realize that we're all in this together and that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers.
We are. Yay, Savannah. Good on you. Yeah, there's some good people in Savannah.
Absolutely.
That's glad. I'm glad to hear there's been such good kind of cooperation in the community. That means a lot, and I'm sure that is a huge factor in its success.
Well, as a result of the introduction to the workforce by the private sector on last summer, many of these young people not only worked during the 8-week internship program, but many of these young people remained in their employment during the school term. They worked part-time,
okay.
Absolutely.
Good.
To name a few, the Parker's Market right down the street.
Right.
Employed an intern, and she was there after school and during the summer. Del Christ actually kept his interns. Any number of other employers across the city had a need for part-time workers during the school year, and what better use of resources than expand the time for the intern that you have so carefully invested in during the summer.
Excellent. And let me let's just make sure. So, and correct me, anything I'm saying is wrong. It starts, I think, June 5th.
June 1st is orientation.
June 1st is orientation.
Orientation is on Thursday, June 1st.
All right.
The official program kicks off on June 5th.
And then through July 28th?
Through July 28th.
Okay, so an 8-week program. Students work at least 32 hours a week.
Exactly.
Excellent. Soft skill training. And I think there's some soft skill stuff, well, you were talking on Fridays, but I guess during that first week of June 5th through June 9th.
So that's one of the tweakings
we
made from year 1 to year 2. We found during year 1 that taking the kids out of the workforce on Friday to go to school was a good idea and a novel approach. However, we know that in Savannah, we're unique because we actually have a large tourism industry here.
We sure do.
So for the businesses who are engaged in that community, we were told that, oh my gosh, you're taking my workers on the day when we're starting our biggest portion of the week, our biggest business. So can you change that day? So at first we thought, okay, we'll flip it to Monday, the beginning of the week. And then we actually tweaked it even further. And during the planning sessions, realized that it made sense to get our soft skills taught during the first week of the program.
Yeah, just go ahead. Okay.
So we have evolved this morph from a Friday training to a week-long training, June 5th through June 9th, from 8 o'clock until 1 o'clock. The young people will be in classes at Savannah State this year.
At Savannah State. Okay.
We've moved to Savannah State. Savannah Tech was not able to accommodate us during the entire week because they have summer school. Last year, Fridays were ideal because they did not have classes on Friday. So we're moving to Savannah State with the teaching component this year, and it will be conducted June 5th through June 9th. We have an excellent partnership with the Savannah Chatham Board of Education. So we're using certified teachers to teach those soft skills during that week. And these are teachers who are not only certified, but who also teach those kinds of courses in their regular employment.
Okay. Good. Well, I'll tell you, that's the mark of a good organization that is able to have flexibility and make some changes like that.
Absolutely.
And this came up, and I can certainly understand that, from the sense of a tourism person, because if they're having to lose somebody right on Friday, that's a big deal. So, all right. So now, and also, I think in a sense maybe it's good that, right from the very beginning, they're getting ready and getting those kinds of skills and help developing those kinds of skills even before they really even start per se, which is kind of maybe a good plus too. So that's good all the way around. All right. So now you have applicants to be an intern.
Absolutely.
Now, has that already taken place?
Oh, yes.
I mean, that's all done. So,
Wayne, the good thing about this program is that we work year-round. So the steering committee starts to meet during the first part of the year.
Okay.
So last year, during the first year, it was a bit challenging.
I bet.
Because inauguration of the council occurred in January, and the mayor said, we will put 500 kids to work. Well, guess what? We had 5 months to get this program birthed, perfected, and ready to launch by the time the young people got out of school and were ready to start to work on May 28th.
That is a challenge.
Was it a challenge? It was a challenge. And then, of course, an aside is that I decided to break my toe. Well, actually, I did not make that decision, but life happens.
Life happens.
So I was traveling around the community with a cast trying to recruit businesses.
Wow.
So it was an interesting series of events.
Yeah, I bet. That's amazing.
But
you got it together. Everybody got it together.
To answer your question, the steering committee recognized, as a result of last year's program, as a result of the evaluation, we carefully evaluated the process during the fall of last year.
Yeah.
And that is so important. I don't have to tell your listeners how important it is to make sure that once you launch a new program, after you applaud yourself and pat yourself on the shoulders about how wonderful it was, I would advise any new program manager to sit down, take a step back, and do a very, very constructive and critical evaluation of all of the parts of the program. Yeah. So we did that. We evaluated the components. We asked the students. We asked adults. We asked the parents. And we asked ourselves what went right and what could have gone better. And as a result of that, we knew that we needed an early application period. We knew that we needed to promo this program well during right after Christmas. We needed to start getting into the school system when the students returned to school, announcing and reminding our young people of what is Summer 500, how do I apply, what's in it for me. Remember the old acronym. So we needed to let them know that this program will be repeated, and you have an opportunity to join it if you apply. We can't reach you if you don't apply. If we don't know who you are and where you are, we cannot reach you.
Yeah.
So we set an application deadline of March 31st. And by March 31st, we had twice the number of students from last year to have applied through the website. We made it easy for the students to do it. They could apply at school. We attended their career fairs. So we went to the students. We made sure we sent representatives from the committee to each of the public and private schools to inform the students and to encourage them to apply and to get their applications in a timely fashion.
And apparently
because
they did.
After the cutoff date, after the city stopped accepting applications, we did not want students continuing to inquire, how can I apply? So we did a fairly decent job, I think, getting the word out. And we can thank the students for that as well, because students who participated during 2016 were eager to tell their friends about their experience and encourage others to apply.
Cool. That's really nice. All right. So what age are these students?
The students need to be at least 16.
At least 16. Okay.
They need to be 16. And why 16? Because if you're not 16, it poses problems for some of the employers who cannot hire youth, even in a temporary or an intern capacity, unless they're 16. And also, they don't have to have a work permit at 16. So at 16, we're able to ease them into the workforce, and it doesn't cause the problems or the challenges for any number of our employers whose insurance policies set.
There's always that too.
Exactly. Set an age limit on how old an employee must be.
Okay. Now, I'm sure that you have interns in different kinds of businesses, but I'm sure tourism is
one, but only one of the many businesses. We try to get a great representation of the numerous businesses that's represented in this community. So, for instance, last year, we had students in the educational arena. They were in the university system from Armstrong, Savannah State, Skidaway Island, Georgia Tech. We had students in the medical arena, from doctor and dentist offices to St. Joe Candler Memorial. We were represented in the school system, the Savannah. Well, actually, the school system cooperation or collaboration with us was more of a partnership. So we actually did not have students in the school system because it was summer. So just higher education.
Yeah, higher education.
The medical, the chamber, Savannah Economic Development Authority, the businesses, Brasler. I'm just thinking right now, running down a mental list. And of course, Kevin Jackson and Envirovac. We had students in warehouse settings. We had, and I'm thinking Trey Cook in his facility. We had auto mechanics on board. We had any number of restaurants and hotels and motels and inns. So the list goes on and on. Our young people got to see Savannah. We had the veterinarians were represented. Bakeries were represented. So you name it, we had students in a number of businesses, a diverse diversity of businesses were represented. The interesting thing, talk about tweaking again and how do you refine the process. This year, we are trying to do a better job in matching the students with the business.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? We've asked the students on the application to state some of their likes and dislikes in terms of hobbies, in terms of things they would like to do, or businesses they would like to, have and see what it's liked. And sometimes that decision is good for the employer and for the employee. Sometimes the students will learn that, I really do like this, and I really would like to pursue a profession in this area. Or the student may learn that this is a good 8-week experience, but this is nothing that I want to do for a lifetime.
Fine. That's good. That's a valuable thing for them.
That is just as valuable. Both of those lessons are important. So from Tybee Island to Thunderbolt to the landings, we had our students over the community.
Okay. That's excellent. I love to hear that. And, you were talking about working and placing some in higher education. And I think that's great, too, because, it gets them in that environment and really exposes them to that and maybe encourages them to go there,
Absolutely.
and say, I can do this. I can do this. Maybe they hadn't been thinking about college, and maybe this kind of kicks it in and say, hey, I think I can do this. And Lord knows, obviously, tourism is such a big industry here that getting into that, particularly, and as a young person particularly, is just opens up a whole world of job opportunities that are in tourism. My goodness. They're just so plentiful here in this city, but all these other things too. I mean, whatever it is, it's good stuff for them.
We had students exposed to areas that I'm sure they would not have even considered had not it been for this program.
Yeah,
with students, several students out at the airport, and I can only say again, thanks to the community. It is just interesting to note how these businesses adopted these students, and not just the owner or the HR director, but the staff in the business. Some of them took the kids under their wings and would chat with them over lunch about what it's like to work in the workforce, or what it's like to work in this particular business. And they gave those students the kind of nurture and the kind of compassion and concern, and showed interest in the students that we can't pay for. So those are the kinds of little unspoken benefits of the program that one would not readily even think of. Another thing we found as we've traveled across the country in our professional associations, that National League of Cities, Georgia Municipal Association, we have found that nowhere in the country have I seen a program quite like Summer 500.
Wow.
Now, certainly there are internship programs all over, but I was quite amazed when I sat in a conference back in the fall of 2016 after the completion of Summer 500. And I listened to a panel discussion on workforce development or workforce readiness. And I heard panelists from Nashville, Tennessee, Washington, D.C., perhaps Chicago, or a number of places talk about the investment by their community in their youth. And they were talking about their summer youth programs. So after the panel finished their presentations, they asked for questions and comments. And I went to the podium and the microphone, the floor mic, and apprised the audience that in Savannah, our program was a little different in that the taxpayers did not pay anything for our internship program because it was completely funded by the private sector. Right. Well, needless to say, that caused a little aha. So we've been questioned. We've sent out video. Any number of the TV stations, electronic media have been they've been kind enough to do productions and feature stories on the program. So that's gone to several cities across the country.
Excellent. That's good to hear. All right, we are going to take a short break. Let me say first off and remind everyone that this is WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. We are at a little past the halfway point. We're going to take a brief break and give me a chance to get a drink of water maybe or something, and maybe Alderwoman Bell as well. At any rate, we're not going to be going long. Don't you go anywhere because we've got lots more coming, so hang in there.
This portion of WRUU-LP Savannah Soundings programming is made possible by a grant from Sentient Bean, offering fair trade coffee, vegan and vegetarian food, and breakfast all day. Located at 13 East Park Avenue, across the street from the tennis courts at Forsyth Park. Our menu and special events listings can be found at sentientbean.com.
And we are back here for Savannah Lexicon. How are you, everybody, today? Let me just say that if you're a business, if you enjoy our programming on WRUULP, please support the station with a donation. Let your customers, neighbors, and friends know that you share our vision of building a thriving community based on diverse, vibrant radio programming. As a business partner, our listeners will know you support Savannah's only broad-based community radio station. Become a tower sponsor or underwriter. To check out the levels of corporate sponsorship and to donate, go to www.wruu.org/business. Again, to check out the levels of corporate sponsorship and to donate, go to www.wruu.org/business. And thank you for listening to and supporting WRUULP. Thank you for listening to and supporting Savannah Lexicon every Tuesday and Thursday, 8 to 9 a.m. here on WRUULP. And I did want to take a brief moment before we get back to Alderwoman Bell to remind you that Thursday I have a representative of the Flannery O'Connor Childhood Home, and it's as a kind of a preview of their Power of Storytelling event that is coming up this weekend. I'm also on the show going to have a couple of local authors, poets, and writers, and they're going to, I think, read a short bit from some of their writing. So that's going to be a good show on Thursday. Next week's guest on Tuesday, I have Vicki Weeks, the executive director, Grays Reef National Marine Sanctuary, and the woman who had the brilliant idea originally to create WRUU, as a matter of fact. So we can all give her a round of applause. And then next Thursday, I've got Simona Perry from the Ogeechee Riverkeeper documentary project, which is really interesting. The Ogeechee Riverkeeper organization, one of the jewels of Savannah here, is doing a documentary project, a kind of an oral history kind of thing almost, about people's relationship with the Ogeechee River through the years, through the decades, through the centuries. And that is going to be very interesting. She's going to bring someone along with her who has had a lifelong attachment, shall we say, to the river. So very interesting project there as well. Okay. Now, what else? All right. Alderwoman Bell, we are back. I appreciate, again, so much you being here today. I just wanted to talk a little bit about you personally. As I understand it, you've been here for about 4 decades or something along those lines?
I've been in Savannah since the mid-'70s.
Well, see, that's native to me. Now, you'll get some argument from folks in this city, but...
No, you're not a native of Savannah unless you were born here.
Okay, well, anyway, you've been here long enough to be right next to native. And almost since you got here, apparently, you have been in a capacity of one sort of service or another.
I do believe to whom much is given, much is required. And I'm a preacher's daughter. My father was a Southern Pentecostal bishop, and he taught us to give back to the community. That was part of what was instilled in me from a youngster. So, yes, service is somewhat a mantra.
Okay. And where were you from originally?
I came to Savannah from upstate New York. I was born and reared in North Carolina. I'm a native Carolinian.
Where in North Carolina?
One of the bedroom communities of Raleigh.
Okay.
I was reared 28 miles east of Raleigh in Johnston County. Selma is the name of the little town.
All right.
That's exactly what it still is. A nice little southern town.
Yeah.
But I was reared there. I graduated from high school there and did not leave North Carolina until after the pursuit of my undergraduate degree.
Okay.
So I was attended high school, graduated, went to Raleigh, and spent 3 years in undergrad school and graduated with a degree in math. Had no idea what I would do with a degree in math.
Well,
And actually entered our graduate school with a focus on mathematics. And decided after moving, I was married in 71, and we took my husband took a job here in 73. So, end of 72. So, when I came to Savannah, I actually was faced with the decision of what would you like to do?
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at my background, which was my experience was a bit limited, but it was in the private sector, computer programming, which did somewhat use my math.
Okay.
But I worked for Eastman Kodak in Rochester, New York as a programmer, and came here and decided after viewing the job market in the early 70s, I decided I really do think I would like to start working for government. And the choice was simple for a 22, 23-year-old young adult at that time, what pays the most.
Mm-hmm,
So I started working for the city and started out in the budget department.
Okay.
And after working there for a year or so, I realized, you know what, I like this, but I really want to do and get the most out of this profession as possible. So I I knew I did not want to remain in an entry-level position for all of my career. So I opted to take a leave of absence from the city after being there for maybe 4 or 5 years. Took a leave of absence, moved to Athens, applied to the University of Georgia, moved to Athens, pursued an MPA, Master's in Public Administration, came back to the city equipped to move into management, became a department head, and the rest is history.
Okay.
And along the way, I still believed in giving back to the community. So I became involved in any number of community organizations, served on numerous boards, joined the Junior League, and worked with the Chamber and with any number of organizations in trying to improve the plight of the unserved and underserved in the community.
Well, I think I speak for many people to say that we are very happy that life circumstances brought you down here to Savannah. So good for that. And I knew you had to be a southern girl. I mean, I know you spent a lot of time in New York, I guess, but nevertheless, you're native Carolinian, North Carolinian.
Absolutely.
So you're definitely a southerner. Not that anything's wrong with New York, of course. It's
not
fine.
at all, but I can say it was an intentional choice to remain in the South. After relocating here, and both of us, my husband and I, started careers here. We had opportunities. He and I had opportunities to move away or take jobs elsewhere.
I bet.
And frankly, we always came back to not only the quality of life here, but we also came back to our sense of community and what we felt we could give in this community versus a Washington, D.C. or Miami, Florida or Chicago. So it always, it became harder and harder to leave Savannah, especially after we invested so much. Moving downtown helped too, because when you move from the suburbs, and if you've been here as long as I have, and you have contributed to and watched the development and the transformation of the Landmark District, I am very fond of the life that I've had there.
Yeah. It's something being downtown. It really is. Just so beautiful, and you just see so much going on, and it's so interesting, and it's just lively, just thriving place. It's wonderful. All right, well, we are happy you are here. Let's talk just a little bit. We'll circle back around to the internship program because that is timely and a very important thing. I just wanted to talk a little bit, just kind of in general, about all this planning going on. Because Lord have mercy, there are more plans going on that I can even keep up with. But I guess the biggest one, in a sense, is Savannah Forward, the sort of comprehensive plan for Savannah and moving forward. We've had a lot of meetings here recently for public input, and I was at the one for District 2 at the Civic Center the last week, I guess. Yeah. And I was happy that there were, I don't know, probably 100 people there, which is a good bit, and happy that a lot of people were engaged and talking and going through that whole process. So I don't know, what can you say? What are sort of your thoughts about the Savannah Forward program and the public input on that? You've been at some of these public inputs. What are some common things you're hearing from the public?
So let's give a more global response to your question.
All right.
Since I probably have a different perspective from most council members because I've had the privilege of working for local government for 30 plus years. Mm-hmm. So my tenure under the Gold Dome predates my council seat.
Right.
I have been around long enough to see any number of large projects that the city has engaged in all over the years. Yeah. Perhaps the one thing I can say, and if you want to talk about lessons learned, one thing is that each administration, whether it's the mayor and council or each city manager, is not unlike really most leadership changes in any organization. In other words, they want to leave their mark.
Sure. Yep.
So the unfortunate part of that, unfortunately, sometimes the leaders don't take the time or the energy to make some sort of determination or at least look at what has been studied.
Yeah, already.
And the research that has been gathered.
Right.
And what lessons have we learned from past studies and research projects.
Right.
And we do archive those studies.
Sure.
So sometime I'm led to believe that I've concluded really that if we current administration would take the time to look at what's already been done on an issue as it relates to researching and gathering information, studying it, engaging consultants and studying it, we would probably perhaps do less of that and more perhaps reviewing what we've already concluded and engaging the public on tweaking and refining that has already been concluded. So I'm convinced that with Savannah Forward, with this administration and this strategic planning session, I'm convinced that it's giving us an opportunity to prioritize. Decide what to do first. A good leader, I think, looks back, looks at present, and looks forward before making decisions about moving forward. And I applaud the efforts of our he's still new, he's not been here a year, our newly appointed city manager, Rob Hernandez.
I do too. He seems like he just seems good. He seems like he's really
very thoughtful, very methodical. He has a good grasp on public administration, which is very important because it means that he has some perspectives from other communities, from Georgia, other Georgia communities, and he has worked in the environment as well. And not only as a leader, but as a public safety officer, as an inspector. So he knows the operation from ground up. So I think his attempt to develop a long-range plan, a very strategic and a very comprehensive long-range plan for the city is a wise one.
Yes,
I think it will actually help us decide how to be the best fiscal servants we can of the taxpayers' money. And I think that we're serving ourselves well by engaging the public,
Yes,
because
absolutely.
it is the taxpayers' money. We're not a
Absolutely.
private corporation
That's right.
with stockholders, and this is a corporation that is comprised of monies that are paid into the coffers
Mhm.
by the citizens. So
Absolutely.
asking the citizens how would you like to spend your money
Yep.
is a good idea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now I recognize that there are times when we do need consultants,
Mm.
but what I don't agree with is the use of funds, citizens' monies, to study the same issue over and over again.
Yeah, well, you bring up a good point, because Lord knows there have been a lot of big studies through the years and decades,
Absolutely.
and it just seems like, they kind of die along the way. And I don't know, there was this study and we decided this, and then nobody paid any attention to it after a certain point, and another study was done, and just as you've been describing, so over and over we have some of these studies. But I do like the way that this one seems to be coming in and being done, and I agree with you wholeheartedly about the new city administrator, Rob Hernandez, and I think he brought in this other young woman whose name I can't remember.
Liz.
Who's working on the long range plan, and she's been there she was there at the District 2 meeting anyway. I'm not sure
she's been at each of the meetings.
Yeah,
In
so
fact,
she has that long range perspective, and yeah, this one seems different. This one seems like it's better planned and better organized, and people are really behind it, it seems like, and there's good public and I think private, for the most part, buy-in, although I hate that term, but anyway, that's what I'm talking about, basically, buy-in to the whole process. So it looks good. I hope we really, really just say, okay, this is going to guide us right here. We don't need another one, in 2 years or 4 years or
Exactly.
whatever it is. Let's work with this. I mean, we may need to tweak it, of course.
Absolutely.
You
and I
got to
was
do that.
Just thinking it's going to be a work in progress. It's
Sure.
going to be,
Yeah.
It won't be a stagnant or a static
Right. Right.
document or plan, because as times change, as situation change,
Oh, sure.
as needs change,
Mm-hmm.
we will have to tweak it and refine it
Sure.
as we move forward.
Sure. It would
But
be crazy
having that
not to.
basic guideline
Right.
to set before us as policymakers and decision makers, it gives us a better framework for, again, how to spend your money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, obviously it's got to be a work in progress, that circumstances change and all sorts of things, but we shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel again.
Not at all.
We don't need to just start like from scratch
Not at
again
all.
anytime soon anyway. So that's good. All right, and then we've got, wow, a lot of other planning going on too. We had the streetscape
Streetscape, yes.
thing, and I don't know, any comment particularly about that? I guess that's kind of been established pretty
It
much.
has been, and we did bring in a consultant to guide the community
Right.
through that process. But the good thing about that too is that it was actually a project that was guided by an expert or consultant, and frankly, the community, as well as the decision makers, as well as staff, were all, brought along, or all planning this desired configuration together.
Yeah.
So all of us actually were able, all of the stakeholders were able to provide input into the plan as it evolved.
Okay. Nice. All right. I'm going to have to pretty much leave it at that. I've got a few things that I need to do here at the end of the show, but I want to, again, thank you so much for coming in today, Alderwoman Bell. And I hope, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I hope I can encourage you to get back in here another time, because it feels like, even as much as we've said, it just feels like there's so much else that could be talked about. Again, the internship program.
Summer 500 kicks off June 1st. We still need jobs. We have more students who are eligible to work this summer than jobs. Still need 50 employers. So if you're interested, I won't even ask you to go to the website. Call the mayor's office. We will certainly get you enrolled and get you involved before June 1st. Match you with an intern. It's an 8-week program. $8 per hour is what the young people are paid. Mm-hmm. So we'd love to have you.
Okay, there you go. Anybody out there, corporate entity, business person, you get a fast track on this program. If you're involved in this and interested in this, call them up and see, because I'm sure they can use even more. Okay. Let me, okay, let's see. We are so close to being time out here. Let me just tell you, folks, I'm just going to read out a few quick things, and I really don't have time to get to much today, but if you're looking for an opportunity to volunteer, there are plenty of opportunities to volunteer here in Savannah, Georgia. Just a few things. American Red Cross needs volunteer transportation specialists to help deliver life-saving blood products. 912-651-5321. Compassionate Care Hospice needs volunteers to assist in the office, as well as to provide respite for caregivers and companionship for patients. 912-665-5035. The Old Savannah City Mission, volunteers needed for various positions. Mission provides food, shelter, and clothing to the homeless. Unfortunately, we do have some of that in this community. So there again, 912-232-1979. Again, I will quickly remind you that Thursday's guest is a representative from the Flannery O'Connor Childhood Home, and it's kind of a preview for the Power of Storytelling event that's going on this weekend at the Flannery O'Connor Childhood Home. Going to have a couple of writers who are going to come in and maybe read a bit from their work. We'll talk about the Flannery O'Connor Childhood Home and about this event, which is the last one of the spring. They won't have another lecture or event like this until the fall, so you might want to think about attending this one. It ought to be a good one. Next Tuesday, Vicki Weeks, Grays Reef National Marine Sanctuary. Next Thursday, Ogeechee Riverkeeper Documentary Project with Simona Perry. And I'm out of time. I do want to let you know, though, too, you are listening to WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. And I also want to tell you that the viewpoints expressed in the preceding program were not necessarily those of WRUU, its license holder, or its staff. Tune in Thursday, y'all.